What's going on, everyone? Welcome, Rabid here, and today we're going to be taking a look at one of Goldshell's most profitable miners in the current state of the market. It's also Goldshell's most profitable byte card. That is indeed the XT card that we are talking about, and this is used to mine the SHA-3X algorithm for Tari. Alright, so inside of the box, when you open it up, you have the Goldshell user guide, and then obviously the card. This is assuming that you already have the byte device right here, which does run 2 cards. Now this is supposed to be about 65 watts, so we're going to test that. It might be a little more because I'm only using the 1 card. Obviously we're going to be needing some power here to run this. So when you actually see the 65 watts is usually when you run the second card. Because I'm only running the 1 card, we should be using a bit more power to power the whole device. But here it is, and again, if you're looking for this or anything from Goldshell, I will have links down in the description as well as discount codes if they're still viable. Alright, so as we can see right here, XT card. Now the other current cards I do have is this guy right here. This is the AE card for a Leo, and then I got the DG card here for Dogecoin, if it'll let me focus. There we go. But these 2 cards are not profitable at all, so we are not going to be using them. So we're going to pull those out, and this is the only card I'm going to be throwing in because it is actually in the profit range by a decent amount for only a 65 watt miner. So first thing we got to do is unclip this little there. They'll unplug it, I guess, unlock it. As you can see, make sure that is out, and then we just got to slip this inside of this device like so. Let's just kind of push that in. Bam! We can see it is locked in. Now we just plug it in. Alright guys, so here we are in the dashboard, and I just want to point something out as my card was not recognized. Now we can see it is recognized, but I was on firmware version 3.0.0, and obviously now you can see I'm at 3.2.0. So the card is now recognized. Inside of the miner here, we can see we do have high power mode as well as a default hash rate mode. I'll check them both out to see how they do. At first, I only had LTC and a Leo, so you do have to upgrade to even see or update that firmware to see a lithium, and then XTM, which would be the latest firmware because this is their newest, I guess, card for this. So make sure you do update it if you're running into those issues as well. I knew right off the get-go that's what the issue was, but you know, I should have pointed out and recorded that first, but then I didn't want to look like an idiot if something didn't work. So anyway, I got it all working. I put in my pool parameters under the miner here. I just clicked on XTM that it was here, add my pool. So I'm mining over 2 cryptex here. So here we are, 3.2, 51.01, and we are getting hash rate now, averaging about 47, it says, and our temp is sitting at 41. So I'm going to let it run for a few minutes here, take a look at our power consumption, and then move this over into the default hash rate mode to see if our power or anything does adjust. But I do want to see what we kind of peak at in terms of hash rate first. All right, guys, so in power mode, we are using about 60.8 to around 61.1 watts at the wall. All right, so looking at some hash rates here, we're sitting at about 95 gigahash. It was at 105, so we're about 95 to 105 there. At the pool in the 10 minutes, we are sitting about 83. I'm just going to do a refresh. We're at 74 now, so that's bouncing around 74 to 83. It's been about 12 minutes, so it should be a decent average on the 10 minute there. And then inside of here, it's saying about 93 gigahash. So in rough, depending where you look, the numbers are kind of all over the place. We won't know for sure until we get a full 24-hour average, which, depending on if anyone cares or not, let me know in the comments. We will look at that for you. So right now, this is what the numbers are currently looking like. So I'm going to come into the miner here, and we're going to adjust this down from high power mode to default hash rate mode. Wait another 10 minutes, check the pool and stuff, check the power, and see what things look like. All right, so looking at default hash rate mode, we're sitting at around 45 watts. So that's a decent drop from the 61 earlier. All right, so coming into the Goldshell miner here, we can see about 81.25 gigahash. Another thing I want to point out is actual power here. Goldshell's, whoa, what did I hit? A wrong button on the mouse here. But Goldshell's actual power here is about the same as at the wall. So this is the first time I've ever seen software numbers match what we're seeing at the wall. So that's actually pretty impressive in my mind. But anyway, we're sitting at about 81 gigahash here. On the hub, we're sitting at about 91.43. I'll refresh again. Now it's down to 72, and I see an upwards of 95. Looking at the pool here, we'll do a refresh here, and we are seeing in the 10-minute average 99.99 gigahash, and this has been online for about 14 minutes. So a nice average for the 10 minutes there. So it's looked like we're getting more hash rate than previously, but I am going to be going, when I look at some numbers here, with the 91 or whatever I did see on this part right here. So those are the numbers I'm going with, but the pool is saying that we are pretty close to 100 gigahash at that much less of a power of like 45 watts. So that's actually pretty insane. All right, guys, so coming in and taking a look at the numbers, and remember, these are the only ASICs that are even on the market for Tari and the SHA-3X algorithm. So Goldshell pretty much has the market dominated, so they can price anything they want, because there's no other ones out there, and this removes FPGAs because obviously they cannot compete with these ASICs. But here we have the XT box. It is using about 445 watts based on my last video when I tested that at around 580 gigahash. That is an efficiency of 1.3 gigahash per watt ratio, which is actually, in terms of efficiency, the worst miner on the market, which is crazy. Now we have the XT card BYTE power mode, 61 watts at about 105 gigahash. That is 1.72 gigahash per single watt of power used. And then we got the BYTE hash mode, which was only using 45 watts and still maintaining around 91 gigahash for 2.02 gigahash per watt of power used. So that is insane that this thing in that default hash mode is almost twice as efficient, not quite, but almost, as the XT box. That is pretty insane when it comes to efficiency and obviously profitability. But I think the profitability numbers are based on this one right here, as it's the highest hash rate and things like that. So anyway, that's pretty crazy here. So obviously, if you have expensive power, the 45 watt version is, almost the same hash as power mode, but a lot more efficient here. So that's pretty sweet. Now let's take a look at current profitability. All right, guys, so here is Tari, and let's mention these are the only two ASICs online. And looking at all of Goldshell's miners, or at least miners with Goldshell in the name, we can see that they are the only two that's actually profitable in the current market, as everything else is in the negatives. But we have the XT box making $6.39, which is pretty good. So, the market is pretty much done for. It is over. Everything is crashing to zero. Like, things are pretty bad right now. And we can see the XT card is actually making $1. This is at 12 cents per kilowatt hour after power cost profitability. So we still have some green and profit here, mostly due to the fact that the network hash rate hasn't exploded to way beyond beliefs that people thought it would. So this is a good thing for all of us that have these miners, is we actually have some profit right now. But if people buy these, obviously that profit will disappear. So obviously I will have links down in the description if you're looking for something profitable, because there isn't really any profit out there, and these actually have it. So this is a rare find. But again, this is Goldshell, and there's probably going to be something better releasing sometime in the future, but we don't 100% know when. I have not heard any rumors of anyone else looking into this coin yet. So that's also a very interesting part. But it doesn't mean in 2 days' time we won't see Bitmain or Ice River say something. We have no idea. They could be very secretive on the situation. But we do have some decent profit right now with these two Goldshell miners, especially for the amount of power they're using. All right, guys, so that pretty much does wrap up this video. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this little BYTE miner, the XT card. Obviously, none of the other cards for this BYTE is worth mining right now. So maybe it's pretty much, if you get one of these, you're better off just loading up with two XT cards and nothing else. But that's just my 2 cents on that operation. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this little miner. What do you think about it? Making a little over $1 a day for about, technically 40 some watts. You drop it down, it'll still be over $1 a day, I think, at 45 watts. So very low on power costs, and extremely profitable for the amount of power that's actually using. So that's actually pretty sweet for around the same price as a possible 3060 or a 3070, and cheaper than 4000 series GPUs, let alone 5000 series. So that's actually not too bad. But again, if you don't have the card and you have to buy the whole box, it is going to be a little more expensive than that. So you obviously got to take everything else into account. And if you're in the US, you're going to have probably some massive of tariffs depending where you order from. There are some places out there where tariffs aren't really an issue, but other places, they could be a huge issue. Anyway, guys, thank you for checking out this video. I will see you on the next one. Rabid out.